know one time though I did get hypothermia because it was raining and it was cold. So I did start thinking, hmm, this is kind of rough.
Welcome back, all my Courage, Confidence, and Connections podcast fans. I'm Janice Debo. I am your host. My guest today is Jackie Olmstead. We were just talking about her last name. I remember that name from North Carolina. Well, I didn't know her, but apparently she spent a little bit of time back east as a child. Welcome, Jackie.
Thanks, Janice. It's nice to see you again.
It's good to have you on the show. And I want to focus, first of all, on you. And I always like my audience to know some personal stuff and anything you want to share of your growing up life. And then we'll come up with some fun things to talk about out of that, and then your business as well. So,
Oh, wonderful. Oh,
yeah.
that's great. Well, I was actually born in Washington, D.C., if we're starting there. And I was born in 68. Great year to be alive. Um, so yeah, Washington, D.C. And then my parents moved on the average of every 10 months.
Hmm.
You can blame that on military. You can blame that on just my parents deciding to change careers,
Wow.
deciding to move across the country, south, north, west, east again. And then I love that you were mentioning North Carolina because we did spend about a year and a half or a little bit longer in Chapel Hill and Greensboro. We're fourth, fifth, and a little bit of sixth grade for me. And yeah, I remember the honeysuckle.
Oh, I know. It's beautiful and it smells amazing, doesn't it?
Mm, yes.
Yeah, I grew up picking it and just you suck the sweetness out of it. Did you do that?
Hmm. I did. It
Yeah.
it made fourth grade a little more interesting. I would go out there and just have time to myself. I would go out in the playground and just go pick honeysuckle.
I love that. I'd forgotten all about that. That's a good memory for me to recall as well. And growing up in North Carolina myself, I know the area very, very well. Not just growing up, but most of my adult life until I moved here 15 years ago. And and we moved a lot too, not quite that often, but dad was a preacher, not military. But I think I went to six different schools, but it sounds like you went to more than that. A lot of different schools.
Yeah, it was a challenge. I think I counted at one time because I was trying to document it so that I could wrap my head around it as an adult. I think I went to 8 different schools.
Mm,
So just a little more than you, but not that much. Six is a lot also to switch.
it is. Well, great thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thankful that I got to spend my high school in one place, which was very important. Yeah, my brother and I, my older brother and I, both. The younger ones, man, they got moved even more. So it's it's hard. So tell me a little bit about what you enjoyed doing as a child, and other than the honeysuckle, obviously, but with all that moving, I imagine you were constantly having to make new friends and find new things to do. So you have any fun stories to share?
Uh, sure. Let's see. Actually, I did love North Carolina for exploring out in the woods. Me and my brother would go check out the big trees because a lot of other places we lived didn't necessarily have the beautiful and the ferns.
Mm,
Because just walking out in the forest. Right now where I live is Phoenix, Arizona, so we don't have ferns popping up everywhere except maybe if you go up to Flagstaff or Tucson, the top of Mount Lemon, maybe they have ferns, but we did do a lot of hiking. My parents went hiking a lot in the Appalachian Trail
mm.
in North Carolina. I had a lot of great memories. I know one time though I did get hypothermia because it was raining and it was cold. So I did start thinking, hmm, this is kind of rough. And but it gave me an appreciation certainly for every time we did move,
Mm.
you know, experiencing different climates and different people, different school systems, certainly. I think that, when we moved from the East Coast I went to Nebraska. We moved to Omaha, Nebraska
Hmm.
in junior high school, and they actually decided to have me skip a grade in the middle of a school year. And as an adult, I don't think that was the best decision, but my parents did the best they could. They just wanted me to do well in school. But I did graduate high school at 17, so I don't know what's better, being in it longer. Um, but I think that it also gave me a sense of it's easy for me to just talk to people,
Hmm.
strangers out at stores. I just kind of turn around and say, "Hey, how's it going? Like, what brought you here?" Or,
Yeah.
"Hey, I really like that green shirt. That's pretty awesome." And just make it easier to approach new people. That was a great thing that came out of all that.
I feel the same way because you adapt easier as a child and learning to make new friends, even though most of us never kept in touch. I have a few high school buddies that I stay in touch with, but thank you for Facebook. That keeps me in touch with a few. But really, growing up, I have pictures of a few and a few names that I can recall. And it's kind of laughable when I look back at the eighth grade graduation and go, oh my gosh, I remember her. And so it's quite fun. What was your, other than North Carolina, did you have another favorite place that you lived and had some good experiences?
Hmm. I probably would say Boston, Massachusetts, because at the time I was given the ability or responsibility of taking the T, as they call it there, the metro transportation on my own. I think I was 13.
Oh, wow.
So my daughter is 16 and a half now, so I don't know actually if I would let at like during these times, I don't think I would let her take the subway at 13. But those are different times.
Yeah,
So,
they
but
were.
I did love Boston because it was probably my first introduction to a bigger city.
Yeah. Boston is beautiful. I was there I was a little tiny tyke, so I don't remember it. I think one memory that stuck in there, my mom told me about, is in front of the Old North Church. And we had gone up there, I don't know, vacation or whatever. And my older brother, he's not much older than me, he slammed my hand in the car door, and I was probably two or three. So, yeah. So mom told me all about that. So I have a subconscious memory of, of that somehow. And
Oh my goodness.
yeah, but you, it looks, sounds like you bounced around a lot, back east and west and back east and all over. Yeah, but you gained some good skills from it. That's excellent. Excellent.
Mm,
Was there ever,
yeah.
was there a time in your younger life that you found yourself needing courage that you don't, I mean, looking
Mm,
back, most of us don't know at that time, but was there a time when you needed more courage to do something special in your life?
hmm. Courage. Oh, I love that. Of course, it's the part of your podcast. This fantastic concept of courage. Let's see. There was a weird timeline shift feeling that I had to kind of understand. I think that when I was probably only 7 or 8, my parents, we were flying across the country
Mm,
I think, back to Ohio from Denver. And I remember specifically my dad saying, okay, now time is shifting. It's not going to be the same time. So even though we travel for 2 or 3 hours, whatever it was, the time's going to be actually different than you think it should be. And I remember just looking at the paper and I was trying to write it down and try to understand that concept
mm,
that time changed because of traveling. And I think that that moment, I mean, it was really stuck in my brain that I thought, you know what? I think when I get there, they'll just tell me how it'll be. And kind of let it go, just not worry as much and try to figure it out later. So I feel like that moment was a growing experience for me to the fact that I had to understand time shifting. Well, obviously, time didn't officially shift, but it was a, we all know as adults what we're talking about. But as a kid, I was like, I don't understand that at all.
And as an adult, I still don't understand why we do it. It's okay in the fall when you get an extra hour, right? But you're in Arizona, you never change the time. So so
No.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And in your adult life, what has prepared, because right now you're in the healing modality of different things, and we'll be talking about that, but what prepared you growing up and in your earlier life for what you're doing now? What passion or what brought that to the surface?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, when I was 4 years old, we were in an airplane accident.
Hmm.
We were flying from Denver to Cheyenne, Wyoming. And the reason I bring it up is because my mom ruptured um, vertebrae and um, some stuff going on with facial, like she had black eyes because of hitting her face on the dash and things like that. Yeah, it was brutal. And at 4, my brother was little, so I felt the necessity to look after my brother because I didn't know where the parents were at the hospital. And but here's the thing. So when a little bit later, maybe within 6 months to a year, my mom was teaching me how to do acupressure on her back. So once she healed sort of the fractures in her back, she was teaching me, and she was a nurse, by the way.
Oh,
So she was teaching me acupressure at the age of 4 or 5. And whether or not it was, you know, appropriate or whatever the wording is, it didn't matter. It was like it was needed it was needed. And
yeah.
so I learned how to do that. And for my whole life as a kid, I would work on her back because she would get migraines and
Mm,
things. I don't think things ever shifted to a healing, a place where there are things nowadays. I think that there are things that we can do to help people in her situation back then, 1972. I don't know about, for example, the doctor of osteopathy work, things that I know now, the polarity work.
oh yeah.
So that was the beginning of me literally hands-on. I mean, who cares about a massage license? At, when you're in home and it just needs to be done and helped, and somebody needs the guidance and help. Later, my mom studied energetic healing. She actually learned to be a Reiki master herself.
Oh,
And I started studying to be a Reiki teacher. Apologize for the sound. I started learning Reiki in 2004. And so that was the beginning of my journey because I remembered my whole life I'd already been doing this work.
so it came naturally.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Yeah, when you were in training as a kid. I love that. That is fantastic. So, and your mother, that had to be quite traumatic though. A plane crash? Was it a commercial or a private plane?
It was a private plane at the time. My father was a physician, so it was pretty standard. They would rent planes and go places.
Mhm.
We apparently were going to Cheyenne, Wyoming for dinner from Denver.
Oh my goodness.
So
My,
yeah, pretty crazy. But I don't know. I don't understand. I mean, back then it was just like a normal thing. Oh, we're just gonna take off and go to some other place to, I don't know. So it was private. So yeah, it was a rental, and apparently, I think it could have been, we could have possibly sued them because the landing gear didn't properly, like things didn't,
Oh,
it could have been a something from them that the plane itself was faulty. But I do believe the angels protected me. Um, the story that I have is what I remember, and I wrote about many times after that, that I remember the front of the plane being removed and being placed by trees.
oh,
Um, and then now I've actually got copies of the Cheyenne, Wyoming newspaper that described what happened. And they said that the emergency people didn't get there for they found us by the trees.
wow.
Yeah, so it's, for me, I'm like, well, I just remember being taken out. So I don't know what happened. And I leave it to who knows what to describe. But
Mhm.
I do believe my life has been protected by external, but I think we all are. You know,
Mhm.
we all have our, and I don't mean to go into that kind of thing with
No, it's
you, but
perfect.
okay.
It's perfect.
So I do believe we are protected.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and you were a courageous kid at that point. I will give you that, and you know, it built confidence in you to do the work you're doing now. So let's that was a great segue. Let's talk about what you do right now because you're doing a lot of modalities, a lot of different things. So let's talk about what you do and who you work with, and some
Mm.
maybe a story or two that can encourage someone that watches this.
Oh, I'd be happy to. And and I work with women, primarily moms, but you don't have to be a mom. Um, a story, an example of a session that I gave one time. What I like to do is I like to pull your astrology chart.
Mhm.
If you have a time of birth, a location, just to get an overview. And I don't call myself an astrologer, but the in the polarity therapy that I do, we have an understanding of the the elements and the signs and where they are and how they manifest in the body.
Mhm.
But for example, so I'll have the chart, we'll talk about that. I'll ask where you are, how you are, where you are in this space. She was having migraines all the time. And she was having migraines all the time, and it was debilitating. It was like could she had literally took her out a day or two at a time. She couldn't function. And so I said, okay. So we looked at the astrology, just discussed overall what her how she operates in the world. And then what I like to do is I'll get us into a meditation and meditative quiet space. And this was long distance, by the way. So it could either be in person or long distance.
Excellent.
And I ask I ask her about yes, I always ground myself and make sure that it's separate and that, I my ego, my everything is not involved because that is not necessary to be. Well, we all know from as healers that you don't, that's not a place for us.
Right.
And so we also, I always say that I do my protocol to help myself ground is also giving honor to the other person,
Mhm.
that their body has its own intelligence and that it knows how to heal itself.
Yeah.
And I don't need to have any part of that. And so it will tell me if there's any part that I can play in that role. And so I was doing a body scan of my client, and as I was coming over the stomach, and she gave me permission to talk about it. But as I came over the stomach, all of a sudden I heard this communication saying, "It's not my fault."
Mm.
And I stopped, and I said, and the situation I set up with her was that I would call her after the call. So I said, okay, it's not my fault. So I said, okay, I hear you. And this is the kind of thing I help moms learn is how to hear your body
Mhm.
expressing itself in however it might need to do. So, and I went through the rest of the body, and that was the predominant message So when I came back to her, whether it's me toning or I use a Tibetan singing bowl or I
Mhm.
use tuning forks or all of the above. I also will use oracle cards, whatever is asked for in the session.
Mhm.
And so afterwards, what I said to her was, I said, for some reason, your stomach said it's not my fault. She started laughing. And I said, what does that mean for you? And she said, oh, well, this whole time I've been blaming it on my stomach. I've been like mad at my stomach, mad at my stomach.
Really,
And yeah.
that's
And I
good.
said, okay. And so, but it helped her to ask the rest of her body, okay, then where else do I need to focus the attention? Well,
Mhm.
she had had her gallbladder removed
Oh,
for one thing. And so there were other things that I talked her through, and we talked to the rest of her body, and she was able to make shifts. And through that work, I actually had a follow-up session with her the following week, and I used more sound to help get
oh.
it into space, get into the space even deeper.
Mhm.
Sometimes the first session is just about asking, what's going on here? How can I help you? How can I be a conduit? And so what she said was her response to the work that we did together was that she felt more grounded. Her headaches became headaches, not migraines. So it lessened the impact of the pressure in her skull, and she found relief. And
Good.
so, yes, I'm just grateful that it was able to help her to get to a place of asking more questions of the body and what can help her feel better. And we did address some nutrition, and nutrition is what we eat. Basically, what are we putting in our body?
Yep.
And also what's coming out, because of
Exactly.
course, what's coming in, what's going out, and perhaps how can we support the body at its fullest so that it can support all the other things that we are experiencing in this lifetime.
Yeah, that's an awesome story. I'm sure you've seen a lot of things with people and probably every manner of thing you can think of. So, so
Mm-hmm.
you've been, you started out young, you learned a lot of things, and then you started learning on your own. And growing up in a medical household, I find that very interesting that your mother stepped over into the energetic field. And how did you have to ask, how did your father deal with, I mean, that's such a big shift for somebody as a physician. That's huge.
Yeah, he is a physician, and still I don't. Interestingly, let me think. That was probably after they divorced that she shifted into the energetic
Got it.
learning space. He, I think he still might not support it entirely, but
Yeah.
I do know that he has experienced acupuncture to help his certain ailments, which is, it's definitely related to that field.
I know it really is. I just find that fascinating because usually people resist that. And even your mother being a nurse, I would think that did something happen that caused her to look into the energetic field versus the, Western medicine?
Mm. I'm not sure if there was an exact moment, but I do know that, let's see, she had moved out to, oh, well, maybe too, also moving out to Arizona
Hmm.
back in the 90s. But when I did, she also had moved out. Let's see, is it after me? Actually, no, it was right before I moved here, a couple years before I moved out here. And
Okay.
so I think that, I have to say, my mom was always open to
Good.
knowing the truth
Mhm.
and always asking questions. And she was an artist, always an artist also. And
Wow.
so, yeah, she was a photographer, and her spirit always was seeking to know what's really going on out here, you
Hmm.
know? And so I'm not sure, but yes, she was an RN for really her whole life.
I
But I
find
think that she just expanded, opened up her field.
I find that really interesting and encouraging that because you know how Western medicine, I mean, you grew up in it, and um, it can be like a lot of things. People get stuck and they don't see any other way to do things. But the different things that you do, so you do all types of energy work. Let's give our audience a full spectrum of what you do, and then we'll have all your information at the end of the video. So yeah, let's go through the list of all that you do and how it can help in what you do.
Well, it's great. I started studying polarity therapy, which was developed by a doctor of osteopathy back in, I believe, in the 1940s. But it started getting more and more into, I'm trying to think, was it in the 60s? That's embarrassing. I should look that up. But so Dr. Randolph Stone, he developed polarity therapy, and he actually, I believe he passed away in the 70s. So he actually, so he worked with a lot of the modalities across the world. He went and studied all the modalities,
Wow.
and so he came to the understanding of, well, we have the Taurian field around us,
Mhm.
and we have positive, negative, and neutral energies in our bodies, like a battery. And
Yeah.
so, really simply, if you were to think about it, left and right being positive, negative, and then a neutral, a polarity therapist is like a conduit to help connect the points so that the energy can flow from one to the other. If you have something going on with your elbow, something's stuck in here that or just needs to be moved, and it's typically related to emotions.
Hmm.
So there's a possibility of an emotional release with that, and polarity therapy seeks to hold that space in a neutral ground so that you feel safe. We're holding on to it for a reason. It could be because of, say, 50 years, we're holding on to something because we have never felt safe
Right.
talking about it.
Right.
And it might not even be talking, it just so that's the outer looking of it. And I mean, our bodies are wired for it. It's seeking to
Hmm.
have the touch. So many, I mean, of course, the lockdowns didn't help all of this, where we weren't allowed to touch anybody or talk or see or feel.
Yeah.
Um, which is why I do love in-person sessions. But this kind of interaction is also very valid and works actually really well. I have one thing I want to say too. There's actually a therapist. He does, I don't even know if it's officially Reiki or if it's polarity, but you'll actually go to his office. This shows the power of long distance healing. You'll go to his office. He says, okay, wonderful, get comfortable. He goes into the other room
Mm.
and he does the whole session from the other room.
Really?
And yes, I don't know the name of this guy, but I do know that he's one of the master healers. And because working in the ethereal space is extremely powerful, you don't have to deal with any of the physical limitations. So that's why I say I don't mind at all working long distance. Okay, so that just jumps to the Reiki.
Hmm.
Reiki, of course, being a lot of you might already know about Reiki, but it is the universal symbol for life, and from Japan originally. And it is a tradition that I definitely I followed the whole protocol. I learned it all, and what I do though is I integrate it with my polarity work. I started doing long distance work immediately. It was shown to me to do long distance healing, so I
Hmm.
just immediately started asking people, is it okay? Can I work with you on a long distance level? Now I've been working with tarot or oracle cards, whatever you want to call them, since I was in high school.
Oh, wow.
So that's just been a normal for me, and in sort of like touching base with. them my guides, my universe, my God, 100%
Mhm.
a reflection of what is going on with me. So anytime I work with someone else, I ask them, does this resonate? Does this sound right?
Mhm.
And when with the sound, I studied the sound because, first of all, of course, we're all instruments already. We create music, we create that already with our bodies. Then with the sound healing, that's from millennia ago that
Oh
they
yeah.
did sound healing. So, not only with a vocal polarity therapy teaches the sounding into actually literally like sounding into the body,
Mhm.
like making resonance into the body. So, and then last but not least, I haven't even talked about the art aspect of it. I've always drawn symbols.
Oh.
I don't know. They just they can't always my whole life since I was little, since I was 3, I've been drawing. And so I I'll see someone will I'll get off the phone with someone and I'll just start drawing. I see something on paper and it feels like a doodle. My whole life I thought it was doodling. But session work. So I'll do a painting sometimes before a session, a drawing, and then I'll show and I say, does this resonate with your energy space right now? And usually they're immediately yes, or wow, that's a message. It feels like a message and I can't verbalize what it is. Or that is like you just put something on paper that I couldn't put into words. And we all know how art is, that
Yeah.
it's not verbal.
Right.
So that that's pretty much all of the things. And then nutrition, of course, it's
Mm.
just is simply nutrition.
Yeah. Well, and so you're addressing the whole body, the whole person. And I actually had this discussion with somebody that does breath work the other day in a recording. So it's like I'm on a track here with different types of things that can heal people. And starting a healing series, it sounds like, because a lot of my stuff has been that. And
Mm,
because this culture, we need it. We need it badly. And, holding emotions,
mm.
yeah, I'm very familiar with the body holding on to emotions and doing meditations and things of that nature. So, how can people reach you? And of course, we'll have all that information in print, but if you want to give them a verbal how to reach you before we wrap it up.
Wonderful. Well, I my business is called Earth Momma Living, and it's Momma. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. Of course, I'm Jackie Olmstead on LinkedIn and also Facebook. And Earth Momma Living is just, to be honest, also because I'm Taurus rising, and so I always have been connected to the Earth, and I love Gaia. I love the planet we live on, and so and mama because well I've always had a nurturing I was raised to be nurturing and I am a mom now officially of a daughter so yes Earth Mom you can search for me with all the different channels. I am on TikTok but not as much,
Yeah,
so Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook,
very
and
nice.
in YouTube but not as much on YouTube.
Very good. Well, you'll be on YouTube with this.
Okay, fantastic.
Well, you've been a wonderful guest. A lot of learning, a lot of fun, and just in our discussions. Any final and parting words for our audience before we say adios for a little bit?
Just I always end things with there's just like Abraham Six Hicks says, just there is great love for you. And I have great love for everyone around me. And just want everyone to remember that there is great love for you.
Awesome. Yes, there is. Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you.
Mm.
And thank you to my
You're
audience
very welcome.
back and always listening. We'll have more to come in the next episode, but you can contact either one of us. All that information will definitely be at the end of this podcast. All right.
Thank you.